At times, I like the hood, I like the ghetto because it's always people outside. It's never isolated. Most of the times you'll always have friends.
I'ma just do it, act like the beat's not this. My name is Devin, and I'll send you to heaven. And if you wanna test me, I got my Mac 11. I'm a hot rap bust, all you do is can't amount to me. I come up with a Kevin, he'll tell you all about me.
It's nothing but creativity in the ghetto. It's nothing. That's what keeps people sane.
Get stuck, get rocked, get fucked, get shot. I don't care what you got, nigga, you can get shot.
Like, kids don't have anything, so they coming up with dance routines, and I think it's just something to keep them busy, and music is always, you know, influential.
My friend's father hangs out with Wu-Tang Clan and hangs out with a lot of people that brought a lot of hip-hop coaches to Staten Island, and he's so happy to even see us doing something other than being on the block or playing sports. He's happy to see us doing something positive. From off the island, like a lot of older people that used to live out here, they're like, I didn't know y'all was kind of doing this. I didn't know like y'all was still live out here.
Staten Island still ain't known. It's like it got a curse on this motherfucker. People be right there in Manhattan and you be like Staten Island and you think you fucking in Pennsylvania somewhere, like, oh no, it's too far, and like we right here. But it's so much here, and that's what makes us unique. It's the hunger, it's the humbleness. For so long, we wanted to be accepted.
Staten Island MCs are the most hungriest MCs because we are the underdogs, but we will be remembered.
Staten Island, check. My jurisdiction I live in is where these DJs forgetting to give us props and shout as if we never existed. But we not part of the 5 boroughs of NY. Now is the time, synchronize your watches inside. Staten Island, the borough where police looking for trouble. Where you see all them dirty cats on the spot and they hustle. Where you decipher the status from those who really bubble. You see that food frontin' used to herb in the lunchroom. We traveled into the city by the February Bridge. Cop the greenery from Brooklyn just to get niggas lit. Here on the Isle, hit the ship, you even hit the switch strips for the those. Yeah, that's what it is, yeah. Know what I mean? Staten Island, baby, 5 boroughs. Right here, Martini, Red Van Duzen, Beach Street. Cash show my peeps.
Feeling like an anthropologist observing a rich tribal culture, the projects revealed a glimpse of the holy grail I didn't even know I was searching for. Community.
I would assume they're looking for attention since they don't get it at home, if they have a home. I don't know how many of them are living with their grandparents because their parents are junkies or in jail.
There's a lot of talent out here that's not being exposed. This music is deep out here. I think if the media comes here more often, Staten Island will be heard. And if Staten Island leaves Staten Island, that's another thing. The artists stay here promoting all day. Like you'll see flyers, promotion here, but you go right over that boat and it's like it doesn't exist.
Because of that fishbowl mentality of, this is it, the little world, this little, diaspora is all we have. People don't really strive as hard to get out. It's cool with somebody to be the best rapper in Park Hill. That's good enough. It's good enough that when I walk down the street, people be like, yo, what up? He's nice. That's good enough for them. Other boroughs have that sense of a connection to something larger. Staten Island is isolated.
Well, people gotta, get off the island and merge with other people like I'm trying to do, instead of messing with people out here, because you're not gonna get nowhere.
It's the New York City dump, you feel me? They feel shitted on. They feel like this is the slum. The Shaolin slum, that term is not, it's not just off of somebody's head. It's how people feel.
Park Estates, Stapleton. I've been in those buildings to do work. If I had what to say, I'd tear them down. I'd tear them down.
A lot of people's blind to it, I think, but I already see it coming because I don't think they would just be upgrading for any reason, unless they're gonna raise the rent and, because it makes no sense to make it better if you're still gonna charge people dirt cheap. They make minor improvements, so they raise the rent and bring higher income. At the end of the year, they make more money back.
I had known the rural way of life was in danger, but could it be the urban was as well?
This is a worldwide problem. This is a people problem.
This is a country feed store. It's the last one left on the island. 10 years ago, it was 70% equine, and now it's 70% dog and cat, bird. There were about 6,000 horses left on the island. Now there's a couple of hundred because of the building boom. The health department was coming in and telling people that they couldn't have horses in their yards even though they were grandfathered in. They had to have hot and cold running water. They had to have separate bathrooms. Horsemen's Council fought for many years, but most of the people just got out because the builders just made it impossible for them.
And none of that shit was over there. They got a tennis court now. And see, they taking over it because what they plan to do, you know, of course, probably make these into condominiums one day.
And most of the people that come in here are trying to get rid of the wildlife that they find in their back, you know, if they have a possum or a raccoon, or it's not part of what they bargained for when they came here.
Do you keep the people who's struggling paying $200, $300 a month welfare, or do you get them motherfuckers out, put the cops, beef up the patrol, lock them up, give them a reason to kick them out, get them out the neighborhood and start renting the people for $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 a month, you know what I mean?
They go into the backyards and they expect the cops to come and trap them and take them away, but they have just as much right, actually more right of being there because the animals were there first. A lot of this stuff has gotten killed off. In the fall, we used to see migratory blackbirds here. The skies used to turn black. Since West Niles, we don't see that anymore. There's very little.
I remember there was a time when there was an apartment on each floor in every building that I knew somebody that lived at, that I can go to their house. I was looking the other day, I was like, shit, everybody's gone.
The old timers will be gone, and most of the other stuff that's been happening here, the old stuff will be forgotten. It's just a matter of time.
It's just disappearing, the era.
Were these two islanders from opposite ends really so different? Could community be the product of shared concerns?
The city is telling us if we don't like it, leave, so that's our choice. I choose to stay here for a while. Maybe in 10 years I won't be here. I'll go to someplace slower paced. I have my eye on Amish country.
Dudes that I grew up with that got like a lot of time in prison, when they come, it doesn't even look the same. The people leave, people grow up, you know what I mean? The projects is becoming, you know, corporations now, so we're losing fucking everything. It's like I drove by Park Hill the other day, and one of the biggest attractions to Park Hill was the graffiti on the wall, cash rules everything around me. From the Wu-Tang video, they painted over the shit. And I'm like, how do you paint over that? You don't paint over that. I was truly upset. Who the fuck told you to paint over that? Like, why? Like, you don't paint over that. That's our history. That's our landmark.
Originality gave you individuality. Dreams, hope became reality. Cause us too, from the hood had a means to lift us up too. And whoever ain't like it, we said fuck you. So from diverse to hip hop, I love you. Damn, I wish I said that too, but I blew it. Oh, the girl from high school.
That's what sucks about the hood and the ghetto. None of us own this shit, and we risk it and we rep it and we die for it, and we don't own shit.
I grew up in West Brighton. Yeah. Okay, years ago, it was the Markham homes. Today, Donald Trump, that fucking bastard, knocked down the Markham homes and is building up co-ops. It hurts to take the 40, AKA the one, for those that don't know.
This is the hood. They call it downtown Staten Island now. Funny shit is that.
For the most part, Staten Island has been a forgotten borough. But now that there's attention drawn to waterfront property, it ain't the hood no more.
You know, a lot of, my white friends are moving into what 10 years ago would have been considered a rough neighborhood. There's people from all over Europe coming into the neighborhoods that, they're just artists, and it seems like everybody loves it. I love this neighborhood.
On the one hand, you want to keep it the way it is, you want to preserve, but on the other hand, you want more people to be involved too, because you want everyone to know about it and see how good it is and what you're doing.
There's a dichotomy here. For this community to click, we need greater density. You don't get the bookstores and the cute cafes and restaurants if you don't have enough people walking your streets.
If a venue like this is going to survive, I need support. People have to come here and shop, not just go to the mall. Support the artists that are here or that I'm showing here, and that equals spending some money.
I don't feel there's really an art market out here on Staten Island. People don't have that sense that people in the city do, where they're willing to spend a few $1,000s on a painting. Here on Staten Island, people spend $50 on a painting.
So some kind of revival was in the air. But could Staten Island really support an art scene?
I mean, I'm not trying to intimidate anybody. It happens. People stand at the door and they ask how much admission is, and I'm like, it's free, come on in.
We have Staten Island Museum of Modern Art.
Staten Island was always like a little bit late in the sense that things would get here a little late. Like the way upstate is, but not as bad.
The people who move to Staten Island, live in Staten Island, tend to be the people with art tastes that are 100 years behind the people that I'm trying to make as my audience. It's not for a specific audience, but it's for specifically not the type of audience that would live in Staten Island.
Was Staten Island too small for big dreams? Could it keep people like me around? Would I stick around?
That also equals taking interest in your community. And that equals participating. You gotta participate.
I guess it's always depressing when you have a show and then nobody shows up and you're like, this could be so awesome if you only came. I used to host the open mics at the Cup for like 8 months, and that was a fun ride, but then it ended because I killed it. I think I just got discouraged when 3 people show up, and this is open mic, you know, so anyone can come. I would shut off all the lights except for the stage light, and I would say it was because of the environment, but it was also because it was just too depressing to look at.
It wasn't my place to judge. This road trip was my first time at the open mic, and I wasn't surprised at the lack of turnout. How could there be a Staten Island scene when something about growing up here made everyone feel like an outsider?
Kids used to think that I was mute. Someone once said, if you were to fall off a building, you would look like this.
All I ever wanted was to make friends and be accepted into society, but it seems like even to this day, I still struggle to try and maintain an identity.
I had a kid walk in one day and asked him if there was anything wrong with him because his face looked swollen. The kid freaking had a tanning cream all over his face and his eyebrows. He was blonde. I was
He
just
was
like,
Russian,
I was like,
and he tried
okay?
to do self-tanner to like fit in.
They know how it is. They know what everybody else is doing. They know how everybody else is talking. So they do and talk, and it's like monkey see, monkey do.
I came with the loser crew. You said you saw us coming.
Boris went to LaGuardia, so he didn't have time to know the people around. That's why he says that there's nobody to speak with.
One time I walked the dog, and I was walking around the neighborhood looking for someone to strike up a conversation with. And I walked by like a bunch of people my age. And they kind of looked at me and they said, "Who is that? Do we know him? No, keep walking."
I guess because we are so small, so we have to fight against somebody. We always feel.
MTV had done a couple of things focusing on Staten Island. It was dead on. And you got to see in the local paper, people would write, "How dare they? How dare they?"
People like, "That's where you're from." I'm like, I am not that. Like the father's acting like he's Tony Soprano, like he's in the mafia. Like, come on.
People watched it and identified with it for sure.
Not everybody is orange and goes to Manhattan to get away.
I don't want to say it's too loud, but you got like your Goombas and you've got your Staten Island girls who are always like getting their nails done, getting the tans from the hair streaks, and they're trendy as all get out.
That's like the antithesis of the Staten Island person, that they're trying really hard to not be that Staten Island person, so they become less hygienic and...
It's kind of funny. Staten Island doesn't like the look of itself.
I don't consider Staten Island my home. It never really grew on me.
I've never really been friends with anybody who was real Staten Island.
But it's over. It's so over. You're imitating, fascinating conversations based upon my life.
Staten Islanders need to stop fronting on themselves and come through and free up and project that raw emotion, because I know there's so many different raw artists out there. All those out in TV land, you gotta come through every third Sunday.
Presence to me means everything. I don't care how irrelevant you think I am as an artist. If I physically show up, I can capture your imagination again. I can capture your attention again. Unfortunately, I'm gonna keep it real. We have more out-of-borough cats going to this event than we have Staten Island cats coming. Because with Staten Island, they want that red carpet. They definitely want that red carpet because they used to be somebody.
The longer I hung on the scene, though, the more it attracted me. Could it be that its strength lay precisely in its smallness, its intimacy?
Dudes from the island know who I'm talking about, subliminal or not. On the mixtape, if I have to, I'll release your name, but right now, I know that the people behind this camera is gonna make this bigger than what it is. And if I say your name, it's like I'm gonna give you mad promotion.
Everyone kind of knows each other in the whole music scene. Everyone goes to each other's shows. There's very little, if any, cover charge, and there's no pressure from the club owners or wherever you're playing to bring people. It's just more of a friendly environment.
I showed you love. I showed you love, fam. I saw you on the 46 bus. No ride, no beamer, none of that.
I mean, I'll go to hip hop night at Martini Red. I don't care, but I'll see people that go to the regular open mics too. And they're like, oh, you there in hip hop night? I was like, yeah, I saw you there, but you know, no one discriminates. Everyone's just out to have a good time, you know?
I mean, Manhattan's all about choice. It's a competitive market. Everybody goes there to find something they like.
The thing is, in Manhattan, you got, I mean, a lot of options. So like, oh, I'm in the mood to go to a rock club. You go to a rock club.
If you think one gallery is shitty, you leave and you go to the next gallery. You don't have that option in Staten Island.
There's just a solid handful of bars that everyone goes to. And it doesn't matter if it's reggae night, if it's techno night, if it's open mic night, we're all gonna be there. Audiences in Manhattan see a lot more music. So they're a little bit more exposed to different types or exposed to different degrees of talent. New Yorkers are very hard to impress.
And it's a dog-eat-dog world, and it's capitalistic. It's a competition.
There are more charlatans there than there are everywhere else. It's just the wave of who's who at a present moment. I think you and I and a whole bunch of other people have already been on that treadmill.
They're all kind of seeing what the other is doing, so the aesthetic that gets developed, I would call it more professional.
That whole culture, if you will, is poisonous.
You're 1 in a million in Manhattan or whatever, you know? Like, who's gonna really care about me there?
Just talk to me. I'll visit your studio. I'll look at your work. You know, my job as a gallery director is to really, you know, look at it.
Everybody does their first open mic at the Cup. Nobody judges you at the Cup, and everyone's really friendly.
The reason I even started my solo career was because that open mic was crazy. It was packed. There was at least 50 to 100 people there every Monday, and I just wanted to be part of it so bad.
You gotta try and not laugh at them, because it's just like, yeah, can't you get a booking in Manhattan or someplace that's an actual place? Because if you play at Martini, the only people who are going to come see you are your friends, and your friends already know how you are, and they're just doing it to be nice.
I went to a couple open mics in Brooklyn and Manhattan, and we might not be as good technically. We make it up for like personality and character, things like that.
Yeah, they don't need personality and character because nobody knows each other, and they're never going to see each other again, and what's the point?
Nightfall, quietly it crept in and changed us all.
We have our own thing, you know, like, do we even need to go out there? Like, unless you really want to.
If you want to make
famous.
it. Yeah.
If you just love to play music, if you love a close circle of friends and people that appreciate you, people that appreciate your music that will support you, you're here. This is the place.
A musician with a day job or an artist with a day job, that's what we aspire to be.
They're lying. That's my opinion. I don't think so. Everybody wants to go to New York. Everyone wants to go on the big stage.
I didn't plan on having any success. I mean, really, this is my 15 minutes. I mean, I don't think anything's going to happen after this. I mean, this is it for me. You know, let's face it.
This scene was very like dystopic. Out of the two artists, one was making artwork about bleak, like industrial landscapes and empty highways, which is kind of a depressing theme.
And there's a certain melancholy in that. That's like an empty city wasting away, an empire in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. That's profound, you know? And yet the really beautiful paintings, even though it's sort of like this big tragedy, like all of these people's lives that were based on the steel industry is finished. And now it's just a monument sitting in the middle of nowhere, basically rotting away.
I don't know if it's bleak, but young people, they don't want to live here. Look at our children. Both of my children are pretty successful, and like I said, they would never live here, would never raise their children here. I could give them the house. It's paid off, and it's a nice house, our house. They wouldn't live here for free.
As for myself, I started out my road trip feeling towards the island much like a tourist. By the time I realized I was searching for community, though, I had created one for myself. But what of the rest of my generation?
I have a pretty good feeling that if you went to a younger generation and said, do you like Staten Island? And they said, I hate it here.
They suck. They crazy.
And then you said why, they would just look at you with a blank expression and they won't know why.
Yeah, I just was joking with y'all earlier. Staten Island is nice. I like it here. That's why I'm still here. I've been here for, what, 5 years? I'm still here.
It's the bandwagon. A lot of people from outside Staten Island make fun of it.
Because they think the history and the class of Staten Island is all low. When my kids go into the mall, say, they're appalled at the people, the way they're dressed, the way they speak.
There's other things to do besides go to the mall and go to the movies, you know? Every day there is something to do. It's almost ridiculous. Sometimes I can't keep up. I can never get off this island.
You know, I looked around for something to do, and I had an old coffee can, a chopstick, and a wire hanger, and I made a sculpture called The Boat. And that's how it all started, really. Making things out of something that should be thrown away. Gives me lots of pleasure.
I have not met a musician that plays on the Staten Island scene that says that they hate Staten Island. People that are active in the community, people that are really into it, people that are seeing what we do, they love it.
You know what? Being on this trip with you guys has definitely warmed me to Staten Island. I've seen much of Staten Island that I've never seen before in the 24 short hours I've spent with you.
This is the inspiration. This is the type of shit that you take with you when you go somewhere. That's a hook, that's a hook. One time, shot, one time. And everybody just do this thing. I can be in California and see this right now, today, tomorrow. Nobody loves it, so you love it.
And we love it even more because people hate it. It's kind of silly, but that's how it is.
You want to adopt a child, you see, oh my God, it was so abandoned, and you grow to love it, and you want to care for it with your heart, like, and that's how I love Staten Island. I love Staten Island. There's nothing like Staten Island.
I tell a lot of the kids here too, even if they don't like skating on Staten Island, if you're not supportive of where you're from isn't going to be supportive over you.
If you can't rep home, what is there to represent?
That's hip-hop right there from the gate.
Ain't nothing like coming home and, you know, people is proud of you from your hood.
My friends are here. It's where all my fans are. This is my hometown. This is it.
Staten Island is sort of New York's best-kept secret. And I think the secret is out.
Yeah, you know, this is my hood. It's where I'm from, Staten Island.